A thirsty pigeon. A pigeon oppressed by excessive thirst saw a goblet of water painted on a signboard. Not supposing it to be only a picture, she flew towards it with a loud whir and unwittingly dashed against the signboard, jarring herself terribly. Having broken her wings by the blow, she fell to the ground and was caught by one of the bystanders. Zeal should not outrun discretion. All right, so a pigeon oppressed by excessive thirst saw a goblet of water painted on a signboard. Not supposing it to be only a picture, she flew towards it with a loud whir. Okay, so super thirsty pigeon didn't realize it was a picture. So this pigeon's like, "Oh my gosh, it's a it's water and I'm thirsty." So she just flew really fast. Boom! Dashed against the sideboards, jarring herself terribly. Um so jarring, like something is jarring, like it shakes them. And just is kind of scary and sort of scared straight, is really what you think of when you think of jarring, like a jarring event that. Um, but jarring here, I think, could also mean injuring herself terribly. Because in the next sentence, it's having broken her wings by the blow, she fell to the ground and was caught by one of the bystanders. So her being caught, um, my guess is, since the word is caught, it was that, this was like a hunter that wanted to kill her. Again, the epilogue is left out because these are really short, pithy fables. But, what can happen? Well, an optimist would say the bystander chides her and fixes her up and lets her go, and the pessimist would say, she gets killed and eaten or, slaughtered or whatever. So, but, Aesop usually is going for reality and going for, um, just going for the lesson. And the lesson, is obviously, zeal should not outrun discretion. The lesson is, you know, that if you throw all good judgment out the window, because you're super excited about something, that's when problems can happen. And just to use, fear and greed, maybe it was. I mean, it had to do with life and death. I mean, the pigeon was super thirsty. So it's also saying, like, even if your back's against the wall, like, you don't want to be completely um, reckless with your decisions, uh, because it might have a negative response or a negative outcome. Um, Now in the business world, you know, the stories that we hear of successes, obviously they're good stories, right? I mean, I think a buddy of mine, and I think I might have read this before too, like a couple years ago, but a buddy of mine was telling me recently, like, that the CEO of FedEx, the original guy that started it, Fred Smith, um, he gambled. He was down to like 10 grand or something like that, and he gambled it. He like went to a casino in Vegas and he gambled it, and he made a whole bunch of money. He made like 100 grand or something like that. It's crazy. I don't even. It's so unbelievable. I was like, really? And it like saved their company, and now they're this multi-billion-dollar company, obviously, and just this massive. And I'm like, did that really happen? So I don't know if some of it's lore, mythology, like corporate, company corporate mythology, but and I'm not sure if it was him because I remembered reading a story about that being the case, but I wasn't sure if it was him or if it was a different CEO of a different company. But since my friend told me that, I'm like, oh, maybe that was the case. But a lot of times there's more to the story, than just some soundbite. But regardless, I think it bears saying that you know sometimes an entrepreneur is that a lot of times that kind of a gambler, anyways, like literally and metaphorically, where you're gambling your livelihood, you're risking a 40-hour a week you know, job to make, but working 80 hours a week, 100 hours a week. Um, and some people, they don't make it and they make the wrong bet and, and it turns out badly. So it's not as simple as just, there's the right move, there's the wrong move. It's right to be an entrepreneur. It's right it's wrong to be an employee. That's not the case at all. It's definitely very case by case, very subjective, and definitely has to do with what that person wants at that time and what they're willing to, what suffering they're willing to take on, and what options and, you know, support and lifestyle. I mean, there's so many factors that come into play. So, but that's sort of a positive, response. But I think looking at it in the other way is pretty important as well, because even though this pigeon is literally dying, like the company was dying, like in the sense of, if they didn't come up with a couple hundred grand and, in a week, they were going to have to force liquidation or go bank. I mean, it sounded, I'm sure this has happened multiple times before in many, many business stories and life stories. Um, but that's just the one that I remember, like recall right now. But, uh, regardless, I think that a lot of times it happens the other way, where you're, and this is basically saying, look, even if you're dying, even if you're, you know, I mean, this pigeon, we don't know if it's like dying, but we do know that oppressed by excessive thirst means he's very thirsty. He or she is very thirsty. Or she's, just parched. And you gotta have water. You don't have water, you're gonna die. So, you know, it's real. Aesop's really tough. Aesop really calls it out and says, look, even if it's a luxury and you're reckless, bad. But even if it's kind of like survival and you're reckless and emotional and not thinking, it's bad. It can be bad. The result can be bad. So, you know, I like that he doesn't really mince words. These are really solid life lessons. They're not always pretty, but I respect the rawness of these stories. So yeah, so the pigeon, super thirsty. Maybe he was dying, or regardless, he was super thirsty, so needed water, and didn't didn't patiently wasn't patient. This also goes to patience as well. Patience, good judgment, etc. Using like scrutinizing a situation before you just rush in. Um, so caught by one of the bystanders after getting injured. Hopefully, it didn't end badly for her, but it's one of those things where the epilogue is sort of left up to the reader. But we're gonna look up jarring, because I think jarring is like when you're jarred out of a situation. It's not necessarily an injury, but I think it probably is. And what do we say? So incongruous in a striking or shocking way. The telephone struck a jarring note in those Renaissance surroundings. So there's like beautiful paintings, beautiful architecture and design, and then there's a phone, so that's very jarring. It sticks out, kind of like sticks out like a sore thumb. That's jarring. But here, second definition, causing a physical shock, jolt, or vibration. The truck came to a jarring halt. Exactly. So this is what I was thinking. Jolt. It's like a jolt. It's jarring. It's a vibration. You're shaking. So yeah, that's what it means. So uh, jolting herself terribly. And then so we don't know, as far as the snapshot that the reader's getting, we don't know that she hurt herself until the next sentence. We know that she jolted herself. She was like stunned and dazed. But then here we find out, having broken her wings by the blow. So we're like, oh. So that's what the reader's thinking. Did she hurt herself? After you see jarring. Oh, she was jolted. She was shook up. Did she hurt herself? And then it's like, yep. Not only was she jarred, but she broke her wings. And then she fell to the ground and was caught by one of the bystanders. So, zeal should not outrun discretion. Important to remember, even in survival situations, or, need situations. You need gas, you need water, you need to go to the bathroom. When you need to go to the bathroom is like, there's situations there as well. Like, you gotta be careful. Where do you go for guys? You can go in public. Like, where do you go? You don't want to go on some, like, go step on some power lines, because you got to go, and maybe there are loose power lines. I mean, that doesn't happen a lot, right, in the middle of the street. But you also don't want to go. And uh, one time I had to go, and it was like right. I think I went like it was 3 in the morning. I was in some random city. It was in like near like Phoenix, or I think it was in Tempe for some reason. And I remember being in front of a police station, and I was like, man, I gotta go. And it was like 3 in the morning, and I didn't get in trouble because all the cops were, there were probably only a few cops in there, and it was kind of a sleepy town. But I think I went like by a tree that was like in the back, but there were a bunch of police cars. Like if somebody had come out, like I could have gotten in trouble. But when you gotta go, you gotta go. But it was a risk. That's a little bit different because you also know that you know if you gotta go, you gotta go. Like I think even most police officers, they'll understand, or at least that there's a chance that they'll understand. And also, regardless, you're like, I don't mind getting a ticket. I don't mind going to court for this if I have to. Like I gotta go. You know, like that was the only place I could have went. That was the closest place I could have went. And I didn't want to. But it was like a farm. It wasn't really a farm area, but I know it was kind of farm-ish. It was I couldn't hold it any longer. But anyways, not to tell some base story, but yeah, just wanted to make that connection. Like, Aesop makes it very clear, even if it's survival, to not throw your good judgment out the window. To really, even if you have to take 10 seconds to think, 2 seconds or 5 seconds, like to think, okay, what should I do? What do I do if this happens? What if this happens? Am I okay with this? Am I okay with this outcome? Okay, cool. So and you don't always have that luxury. I mean, we have no control over our lives. I mean, really, in the grand scheme of things, in terms of the big, some of these big random events that happen every day. Uh, we don't have power. It's but we can help improve those odds by making those random odds by making good decisions, throughout our day, including when there's life and death or being oppressed by excessive thirst, etc. So, the thirsty pigeon, zeal should not outrun discretion. Aesop's Fables. Thank you very much.